everyone, my name is Martin Hu and I'll be your host for the Influencr Show, a show where we will delve deep into the heart of marketing. We'll talk a lot about what's happening in the marketing world, what should you do, what should you not do, what's new, so you will be able to keep in touch with everything that's happening right now in the world in terms of marketing. We'll also talk a lot about entrepreneurship in general. We're bringing some guests from different industries where we will do interviews to ask them some relevant questions that will be useful to you as the audience so that you can get the most value out of it. And so for the first episode, I just wanted to talk a little bit about social media. More specifically, I wanted to talk about the misconceptions that people have in general about this way of communicating online. A lot of the clients that I talk to, that I go to, for example, for a pitch for our agency, will tell me that their biggest resistance to social media is because they've had a previous experience that wasn't so good. And maybe they've had a family person do it for them, a person in the family running the social accounts, or maybe they did it themselves, or maybe they asked another agency to do it for them, but they just didn't do it the correct way, so they didn't get the results, and therefore they just think that social media is a nice thing to have, but it's not that important. And to that point, I always try to explain to people that, there's a right way to do something and there's a wrong way to do something. And the reason why most people are not getting the results that they want on social media is because they're not social. And let me explain that. What I mean by not being social is basically they are not interacting with their followers, with their potential customers, and therefore they're not getting a big following, and therefore they're not selling their product online. Instead, the approach that people generally use is they use social media as a way to sell their products right away, as a way to push that promotion that people might like. And the problem with that is that it used to work in the early 2000s, when Google AdWords just came out. It used to work then because we didn't have the mass amount of data being bombarded to our face constantly. Right? Like now in 2018, everybody has their phone with them 24/7, and maybe not everybody, but the majority of people have a smartphone now where they go on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, whatever the social platform, and so many ads are being thrown at them. So much content is constantly going through there. And if you want, as a business, to stand out, you need to provide some sort of value. And I don't mean value in terms of giving a promotion or whatnot. That might work in the short term, but in the long term, it never plays out. And the reason for that is because after a while, it gets old. If you do a 50% off promotion, what's the next thing? A 60% off promotion, totally free? Well, that might work for some industries, but for a lot of people that are in competitive industries, it's very hard to just keep doing that over and over again. And also it affects your brand. People start thinking you're coming from a position of weakness because you're doing a lot of promotion. And so obviously there's a lot of factors in play, but generally speaking, the reason why people are not very successful on social media, businesses in particular in this case that I'm talking about, is because they're not being social. They're just being the businesses that they are, and they try to sell their products, which is not a bad thing. It's basically it's how the game is played itself out. It's how we play the game. We want to make profit, but the best way to go about it is not to just throw right hooks all the time and try to sell your product with every post that you're putting out there. The best way to do it is to provide so much value up front that people start following you for that reason. And by doing that, you create a community of people that interact with you, which is a two-way conversation, but they will also interact with other people. They'll share your content, they'll share it to their friends, and there's a lot of word of mouth that's going to happen with that, which is very hard to quantify. If you're in the marketing world, it's hard to quantify word of mouth, but the effect that it has is incredible. And so for people to dismiss social media as being not that effective, especially business people, is just ludicrous. You just need the right approach to do it. And the right approach is not what worked in 2004. It's what's working right now in 2018. In 2004, it was fine to just do right hooks, just sell all the time and just say, buy my product. I have a new promotion. Buy this now and you'll get the other one free, and do this and do that. That was fine at that time because people were actually, they had the attention that was needed to act on that promotion. But now the attention span of a human being is basically the same, but we have to deal with so much more information. So that needs to be taken into account when figuring out your marketing strategy, but also figuring out how a platform actually works natively and creating content in that context so that you can gain leverage, which is basically gaining a following of people that are loyal to your brand, that are loyal to the story that you're putting together, and that are loyal to the community. When you can create that, the value that you get from that is just disproportionate. And it takes time. You know, it's not like tomorrow you can just build a huge following of people that just love your product. It takes time and effort. But if you're willing to learn that, if you're willing to put in the hours and really give value to the community, and understand that the algorithms on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn favor the posts that people like the most, and those posts will gain more visibility. When you understand that the algorithm actually works in a way that promotes the social aspect of social media, you start looking at it differently and you start adopting a different approach, which will yield a different result. So that was it for the first episode. Let us know what you thought. Leave a comment, like the post, share it, or subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you listening to this, and we hope to see you on the next episode. See ya.